Well, a very good morning and welcome to this edition of the Topical Discussion. I am Simon Kagwanjala. You realize the country seems to be getting back into dire straits in the wake of the March 13th Kawempe by-election that saw Elias Nalukola of the National Unity Platform emerge winner with slightly over 17,000, with NRM's Nambi Farida coming second with a margin of 9,000 votes. It was a messy, a bloody, and some election you'd never write home about. Well, the NRM has come out to contest the outcome, claiming the election was marred by violence that was instigated by members of the National Platform. There was a set meeting in the immediate aftermath that made a resolution that NRM should go to court, and the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement came out with a pronouncement. Take a look.
On Thursday, the Electoral Commission declared NUP candidate Elias Nalukola as the winner for Kawempe North parliamentary by-election.
I declare Mbazi Elias Nalukola.
Nalukola polled 17,764 votes, beating his closest rival and NRM's Farida Nambi, who managed just 8,593 votes. However, the outcomes of this by-election has not sunk well with the ruling party NRM, who have rejected the results, faulting the government for failing to organize a free and fair election. The party Secretary General says they are going to challenge the results in court.
The party totally rejects the results of the Kawempe North constituency that was declared by the Electoral Commission. The party instructs its lawyers to immediately challenge the results of the by-election and file an electoral petition in the courts of law.
The process was marred with violence by security operatives who battered, arrested and assaulted members of the press until the voting day, with some of those still admitted in the hospitals. These violations, according to the NRM Secretary General Richard Odong, were perpetuated by NUP supporters with the intentions of preventing NRM supporters from participating in the election.
The acts of violence that were reported in the several polling stations within Kawempe North constituency were carried out by supporters and sympathizers of the National Unity Platform Forum, NUP political party.
Todong now wants the NRM government to investigate circumstances under which the ruling party was cheated victory by the NRM-led state agencies, including Electoral Commission.
The party calls upon government to carry out a forensic audit to bring all the culprits who participated and messed up the election to book as soon as possible.
This move has been welcomed by the NUP leadership, who believe it will present an opportunity to expose the ruling party and the ugly dealings in Kawempe by-election.
We challenge you to go to court, Todong and NRM, because that will give us an opportunity to also present our evidence of what you did here in this particular election.
According to Ruongoya, the NRM party and government should be ashamed of what happened in Kawempe.
So I would expect the regime, after losing that election terribly, the best they should have done is to lie like an envelope like the late Mzee Tamale Mirundi used to advise them, and bury their heads in shame and go back and figure out what to do.
NRM has struggled to win Kawempe North for the last 25 years, and neither could the party Secretary General explain their expectations in a by-election where some party members are proud to have raised 8,000 votes.
In terms of numbers.
And you're saying 8,000 votes should excite NRM?
I did not say they should. I said some people were excited about the 8,000.
And I did not answer that intentionally.
The Electoral Commission could, however, not comment on the matter.
Well, that's where we are. As if it wasn't enough, just yesterday the president also came up with his own statement supporting the deployment of JAT, which he says was able to counter the mass violence and the threats that were being leveled on the NRM supporters in Kawempe North. He's also asking for an audit. But beneath all this, how do we get to the heart of what went wrong in the Kawempe North by-election. Joining me this morning is Honorable Richard Todwong, the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, together with Mr. Louis Rubongoya, the Secretary General of the National Unity Platform. Sandwiched by two Secretary Generals. What a moment. A very good morning, Louis. Good to have you.
Good morning to you and a good morning to the viewers.
A very good morning, Honorable Todwong.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to the viewers, and good morning to my good friend. We used to be very good friends before he went to NUP.
Yeah, until
Yes.
I left you.
Yes, that's true.
Well, Honorable Todwong, is this loss too painful that you can't contend with it and move on?
Simon and viewers, I don't think that is a correct statement. We know for a fact that that constituency was being run by a member of parliament who was not NRM, the late Sigirinya. We also know that in the last election, definitely, quite a number of the members of the constituency either did not vote, the voter turnout was low, and therefore those that turned to vote voted for the NUP candidate. So it's not a do or die for NRM. The main gist of this matter is we know we have lost elections in the past. We know constituencies where we were defeated. We know where we have defeated other political parties. If you follow the genesis of this and the intent of the president's letter, the president is communicating something a little deeper. To say the trouble of Uganda started because of messed up elections in the early 60s. Coming up to the 80s, going forward, election has been at the center of instability of Uganda. So when he, as somebody who has been in this for the last 60 years, sees the semblance and the repetition of what happened in the past, that election is becoming a do or die. People are fighting, people are killed, the military is getting involved, everybody seems to be complaining. As the president doesn't sit back, there is a problem we need to fix. And then that is why he's saying this must be thoroughly investigated. NUP must be investigated, NRM must be investigated, security forces must be investigated, electoral commission must be investigated. Everybody must account for their action in this election.
Well, before I get to Louis, what I find quite ironical is that NRM, the party in power, is aggrieved or rather disgruntled by whatever happened. The merchants of violence, the perpetrators of violence, were soldiers who were serving the NRM regime. There were videos of government officials who were seen ballot ticking. And now it is NRM crying.
Simon, the NRM political party does not deploy military or soldiers in an election. We don't control. There is always an insinuation that NRM and government are one and the same. We are a political organization. We are an organization independent of government. We also complain to government just like any other political party does complain.
You're crying like the opposition now.
We are not crying. We are only concerned that this, if not checked, will take Uganda back to where Uganda was. Because if election is a matter of life and death, then we don't know why we are asking to be elected as leaders.
Well, Louis, there was cause for you to jubilate, of course, having won, of course, not by a landslide. It was a poorly attended election with a margin of about 13% turn-up. Do you imagine that, given the stance of NRM and the president, your joy could be short-lived?
Well, yesterday, one of the words that was trending most on X was the word shameless. And when you could read through, people were very, very surprised as well about the shamelessness of the regime. Very, very shameless people. Because after doing everything they did to us, to the people of Kawempe, then they come out complaining. They are very, very shameless. So, first of all, we have told them to go to court if they want to, because definitely we'll have an opportunity to put the facts before the court. They are the ones who caused a lot of violence. I mean, and when I read General Museveni's letter, it was shocking. You know, either he's a terrible liar or he's fed with lies and falsehoods by all these people around him. Because he reached a point of even saying that someone was arrested with 18 ballot papers, when actually the man who Balam paraded had voter location slips, those 18 voter location slips, which are usually held by these LOCs and all that. But, I mean, we were at the Tale Center and you saw what they were trying to do. In fact, if we did not have our DRR forms, all the DRR forms, if we are not able to collect them on time, right now we wouldn't be having an MP elect as NUP. Because the time reached and they started reading things that were not matching completely with what we had. But it is because we had our DRR forms, they would read this figure, we challenge them with the original DRR form. They read another, we challenge them. Then they realize that, oh, these guys are actually organized, they're prepared. That's how they gave up on the game they had started. The same thing they did in Kayunga and other places. So when
I thought it was the Electoral Commission reading out, not the NRM.
But who has always championed the election rigging in this country?
That is where the real problem is.
Who has always championed the rigging of elections in this country?
Comrade Louis, how sure are you that what was read in your favor was
why didn't you challenge it?
NRM?
Why didn't you challenge it?
That is why we're saying forensic audit must be carried out.
You see, every time you're at a polling station, you have polling agents. And those polling agents normally have, get DRR forms. So for us, we had our DRR forms, which showed what we got. But I'll give an example. You imagine Perere Primary School, where we got 97 votes and NRM got 39. And they read 47 for NUP and 700.
Who are they?
Who read?
The returning officer.
That is why we are saying now, everybody must be investigated.
Now, you see, who appoints the Electoral Commission? Who appoints the Electoral Commission?
Louis, I'm sure you're smarter than that.
No, I'm asking.
We are saying, my introductory remark is the President's letter and what we issued out of our Central Executive Committee resolution is that we are calling for a forensic audit.
Yeah, and we are
NUP must be investigated, NRM must be investigated, Electoral Commission must be investigated, security forces must be investigated. The people must speak. Because they were there, they saw who did what.
Absolutely, and the people have been speaking. You people in the media have been there. Have you seen anybody, the residents of Kazangola, for example, or the residents of Mbogo, saying that they were beaten by an NUP supporter? All of them were beaten. Did NUP arrest the journalists?
I am not.
No wonder they are pushing for an investigation, maybe to get to the bottom.
I am not here as the spokesperson of the security forces. I am here as a concerned person who sponsored a candidate in the election as a party. So as a party, we feel aggrieved and saying this election must be investigated.
Do you realize you're coming off as sour losers, disgraceful losers?
No. We have lost before. Come on, we have lost before. We in an election, if you're a political animal, you know there is a losing and winning. When you lose, it's not to say you have to. It's not the case. No. We have won them in many constituencies. They know that. They defeated us in other constituencies. We have conceded in many, and we are not saying. By the way, we are not saying if this is really your victory, let it be your sweet victory without any.
But that is what is that is a head of shamelessness.
Why are you against investigation?
We are not against investigation.
That is what I'm saying.
Here is what the president is saying: that you intimidated NRM voters. One, you were
so
involved.
we deployed the members which intimidated people.
Okay.
NUP, according to Genome 7.
This is what the president says: the heavy deployment of security forces may have stopped mass violence, but it could not stop these micro crimes that should have been managed by the election officials.
Well,
so you were victors in a shady election.
They made it shady, and I'll tell you a few things about what we have found out so far. When they deployed those goons to come and destroy polling materials and all that, after realizing that they were faced with a resounding defeat, they wanted the election to come to a halt so that they say that results cannot be declared anymore. That was their intention. That is why those goons were being protected by security. Honorable Todong, I hope you've seen the videos. People raiding polling stations with, batons, with what? People in civilian clothes, commanded by Misa Kabanda and Balam, who are Museveni's ministers. They are there raiding polling stations, kicking everything. The military is there protecting them.
Now, the president, the chief executive of the country says, we want to investigate this. You are welcoming it, right?
We have said clearly, go to court. Go to court. Go to court. And let's bring our evidence. You know, the reason why Kawempe North was a do or die for Genome 7 is simply because of the people around him who lied to him. You know, the late Edda Kategame, so rest in peace, wrote, when you are in power for too long, you start living an unrealistic existence. You saw him saying, we have done anti-poverty programs in Kawempe. So somehow these people lied to him. That actually, because of this money that you send into the ghetto through Damlida, that because of PDM, because of what, your fortunes have changed. So he somehow thought, because of these lies, they always tell him that maybe the ground has shifted. It has not. People rejected him, have been rejecting him here in Kampala and other places of the country, and they are still rejecting him and his candidates.
Oh, wait. Thank you. Honorable Odwong, this is not the first election that's been marred by violence. Why are you particularly keen on Kawempe? And in the case of an independent investigation, who is leading it? Who is appointing the persons to run the committee, the inquiry?
You know, Simon, before I come to that, I think we need to be fair to Ugandans. Me and my comrade here, we are leaders in our various political parties. And when we speak, it should not be my word against his word, because we shall never come to an end. This thing is bigger than what we're trying to describe as Secretary Generals of the various political parties. Yes, we are players, we sponsored candidates, and what happened, happened. My issue is we are calling for cleaning up going forward. What should we do as political parties? Under the iPod umbrella, we always discuss this, where NUP is not a member. We've been asking them to come to iPod, they have refused. That we as political parties, we contribute candidates to the democratic process of this country. We are the biggest contributors of candidates. Now, we need to agree that the rules of engagement should be fair to everybody. We need to agree and talk to government the do's and don'ts of election. Because if we are sponsoring candidates and then they are beaten, they are harassed, they are done, I am
NRM
blaming,
is government.
Hold on, that is where the problem is. NRM is in government, but NRM is not government. The two are different. Tomorrow, if they win the national election, they run over government.
Just a second. Who is the chairman of NRM?
General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is the president of the country. But when he's executing his role as the chairman of the party, he does not execute it as the president of the country. Those two are different. That is something that maybe I should help you understand.
Okay.
And so when we complain, like for example, under iPod, we sat as Secretary Generals of various political parties. We asked to go and meet the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda. We asked to go and meet the Minister of Internal Affairs and the IGP. They were not there. When their members were arrested in the last general election from Kalangala, it was iPod that spoke for you when you could not rescue your members who are in prison. Now, that is what I'm saying, that the rules of engagement should be agreed by all parties. Those in parties.
I read a lot of intellectual dishonesty in what you're saying. You seem to be shifting blame to a person who doesn't exist. It's NRM in power, and this was clearly state-inspired violence to the extent that the CDF has come out to
the CDF does not account to
congratulate
NRM
the soldiers.
That is why civil servants are not supposed to be members of any political organization. The CDF is not a member of the NRM. It does not belong to any political party. That is the difference.
How do you resolve this contradiction?
He speaks for the army, not for NRM.
Okay. The army brutalized NRM supporters, right?
We are saying that must be investigated.
You see, that's why the dishonesty, that is really the level of shamelessness and dishonesty we're talking about. When you're running against NRM in this country, you're running effectively against the UPDF, against the police, against... I mean, I
thought you were a lawyer. I thought you were a lawyer. You can easily separate these things.
I'm telling you that this is what...
No, but you don't run against UPDF or...
You see, I am telling you...
You run against UPDF.
You spoke and I really allowed you to... I listened to you.
Let's have a conversation. I'm okay with it.
It's unfair.
No, because what I'm saying is, why was the UPDF not beating up NRM supporters, instead protecting them to beat up NUP supporters? If you say that you're not the ones who deployed them and all that.
Are you aware that the NRM supporters
the journalists were being clobbered. And then General Mohozi comes up to even...
Are you saying journalists are members of NUP?
You know, he came out to say he's going to promote...
Are you saying journalists are members of NUP?
Listen, he came out to say he's going to promote the soldiers who are battering people, who are battering the media.
He does not promote them on behalf of NRM.
The other thing I want to ask you, Jat, why was security during the campaigns? You saw Nambi, the NRM candidate, was holding processions, moving around with tractors. For NUP, Jat, came deployed at our headquarters, started beating up people, and then they say, no, we don't know about those people. They are not working for us. So if all the actions of security, look what happened on election day. I was there. Some RDC called Robert Kambugu reached a point of threatening to arrest me because I was asking him why he was
He's not a member of the NRM.
He claims not, but
No.
all these RDCs were there deployed on the orders
Comrade Louis,
to
I
ensure.
know members of my party.
Yeah.
Security forces are not members of NRM political party.
So,
they are not.
But if their actions
So
are
you,
intended...
are you distancing yourselves from the rigging machinery that was rigging purportedly for
That
Nambi?
is why the president is calling for a forensic audit. The party is calling for a forensic audit to know who did what.
But the
How about
problem
if
is
it
he
was
has- he has
done?
made
If it
conclusions.
was
But
done,
look.
if it was done in their favor,
He's not
how
actually
sure are
calling
you that the
for
votes that were
forensic-
in
declared,
your
the
statement,
17,000 votes
in your
declared,
statement,
are genuine?
In your statement, Honorable Todwong, you attributed the violence in this election to NUP supporters. That was already a conclusion, wasn't it?
Exactly.
They were reported that it were triggered by NUP supporters. That was how the military came in to avert a situation which was coming up.
But where do you
You've
people live?
already drawn conclusions. So what
It
are
was,
you,
it was
what are you
reported.
investigating?
That was why the party felt aggrieved, that it was reported, and we got it on record, that NUP supporters started this.
But where? How? I mean, that's what I'm saying, that the level of shamelessness and dishonesty.
Close to 50 polling stations were cancelled by Electoral Commission.
And you can imagine. That is
Because
also
of
not
this.
true. The Electoral Commission itself announced that 15 polling stations, only 15 polling stations were not included. And why? Those were the polling stations at Kazangola and Imbogo. Only 15 were not included.
But why?
And they were raided by goons, protected by security.
There were more than that.
In some of the videos.
There were more than that.
in-
The list of polling stations that were not taken to the tally center is here.
You see,
unless
the
unless
Electoral
you know,
Commission,
the list I have is more than that. Is
but
here.
the Electoral Commission announced when everybody
This
in
is
this
from
country was
Electoral
saying.
Commission.
What I'm saying, did you see the returning officer? He announced that the 15 polling stations are not included in this tally because I do not have these results.
Take record.
Now,
why
that-
say,
that-
now,
that affected
why
the
say
credibility
four
of the
polling
election.
stations were not added?
Absolutely.
So-
but the question is, who caused that violence?
Okay.
I've told you that Balam, Minsa Kabanda, and other Museveni
So that
operatives
means
were the ones in charge.
that means your victory is also disputable.
No.
It is.
In the last election, I will remind you that in the presidential election, Biabakama, the chairman of the Electoral Commission,
Justice.
he said that, for about 400 polling stations were cancelled. And he went on to announce General Museveni winner. So many polling stations were not announced in the last election. But if you see those polling stations where they said that the ones which were not included in the tally for the presidential election, majority of them were where NUP had performed exceedingly well. So,
My question is to my brother is that why are you against investigation?
Who has said we are against investigation?
No,
we are the ones who welcome
let's
to
wait.
court.
Let's wait for the investigation to
You
give
see,
us more
no,
for
facts.
us, actually, what we're saying.
You and me might not even
okay.
be knowing
Don't-
the
don't-
details of what happened.
Okay, Honorable Todong, don't you find it ironical that it is the commander-in-chief and chairman of the NRM
No, he's the chief
who is
executive.
instituting
No,
an
no.
investigation?
He is
but
he's the chief executive.
He-
and
he's
has the
already
powers.
opining
He has the
that no-
constitutional mandate and the powers to direct for an investigation on a matter like this.
who would appoint the committee
The committee for what?
to
There are
investigate?
institutions which are set by the Constitution of Uganda to do this. There is the CID. Is CID appointed by the president? There is already the CID. There are quite a number of agencies that can investigate this.
Okay, at the end of the day, what do you want?
The truth to come out. The truth to come out. Who did what? Who caused the beating that they're complaining about? Who did ballot stuffing in which polling station?
But
Why did
everything was in full glare.
Why did
Honorable Todong.
hold on, Kagwa. Why did the Electoral Commission cancel results from many of these polling stations? How sure are we that the votes in those polling stations were not for NRM?
But they had actually started
What are
counting.
the chances
Let me-
that the EC is complicit in your loss?
That the investigation will determine. At the moment, I can't say much. The
You see-
investigation will tell us. I'm not blaming the EC. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there must be fairness in all this. There must be fairness in all this.
Okay,
Whoever participated, including NRM, NUP, security, EC, the public, must be investigated.
Honorable Todwong, do you have the DR forms for the polling stations that are under question, whose results were cancelled?
How do you have DR forms when results were when the polling station was closed?
No.
Boxes were kicked, ballot boxes were kicked and destroyed. There was no counting of results in those polling
Is
stations.
there a possibility that you were doing very well in those polling stations?
We want to imagine so.
On what basis? On what basis? Because, first of all, let me give him information because he was not there. By the time these goons started attacking these polling stations, they realized that their candidate was doing miserably at Mbogo and Kazangola. They had started counting. And the media was there the other day. You saw, for example, we had a councillor candidate called Setuba Habiba. She had won almost all the ballot papers you could see when the media was covering. All of them were in her favor. Majority of them, the vast majority of them, maybe up to 90%, like you saw in other polling stations, were in favor of our candidate, Nalukola. So these goons, after realizing that they were headed for a resounding defeat, and that is why I'm saying that this 14% voter turnout that you're talking about is wrong, because Kazangola and Mbogo have the biggest number of voters. So these people deliberately decided to do that, and they tried it even at other polling stations, but our agents were very, very strong there because we believe what they wanted to do was to mess up the whole election after realizing that they were completely failing.
Do you suspect that NRM is hell-bent on grabbing this constituency from you?
They won't. I mean, even if you have an election today, even if you actually have a rerun, I can tell you that, first of all, the 8,000 votes they gave themselves, they did not get them. I have told you, in addition to ballot stuffing, they added them, and I have the figures here, they added themselves over 2,000 votes. Those that they were reading. You can imagine, our candidate, Nalukola,
however
super
much
popular.
we argue here,
Super popular.
however much we argue here, the issue is, let us do a forensic audit. If you're claiming that we are not popular in Kazo, Angola...
Who is doing the audit?
Hold on, come on, don't rush me. If you're saying we were not popular in Kazo, Angola, Kawempe, Mbogo, and all those places, and you're saying we kicked the ballot boxes because we knew we were losing, and we're the ones calling for investigation, that should send a message to you that we know that we are not the ones involved.
Okay. But the ones calling for an investigation are the ones who are forming the team to investigate.
It's government.
But let me ask you a question,
It's government.
Mr. Kagwanjala. Jerome Museveni came out some time back, and he made a very ridiculous claim that NUP stole 1 million of his votes in Kampala. Our president wrote to him and challenged him to an audit. We challenged him to an independent audit. We challenged him to go to court. He has never responded. So these are the shameless people we're talking about.
No.
He came out and said they cheated. Because everybody in this country knows who rigs elections. Is it NUP which deploys RDCs who come and take over polling stations? I've told you, an RDC, because they wanted to exchange the box that people, you know, the ballot box, reached a point of ordering a member of the Electoral Commission away from a polling station. An RDC. So who deployed that RDC?
You see, this investigation will unearth all those things. An independent, maybe we can ask for an independent investigation so that we also know what that particular RDC did, which powers he had to direct that electoral officer should leave his deployment center.
I am quite astonished that finally the NRM is asking for an audit. At the height of the of the 2016 elections,
you don't know, Kagwa,
Besigye called for an audit of the election. You rejected it.
We did not. We did not. We did not.
Now, 2021, we asked for an audit. There was a cry for an audit of the election. You played dumb. And now here you are. For a by-election, you are asking for an audit.
You see, we did not turn down Besigye's request. The issues were, he was not specific on what should be investigated or audited. Was it the results? Was it the violence in the election? What was it that they wanted audited?
But for us, we were specific.
Now,
when we wrote to General Museveni and said,
yes,
he said there are 1 million votes we rigged,
and he wasn't even specific when he said 1 million votes.
So why didn't you do an audit? We challenged you to an audit.
He will reply to your letter. You wrote to him, you didn't write to me. He will reply to your letter.
So I'm saying the ridiculousness we're talking about.
This is a different case. We are saying everything that happened in Kawempe North constituency was in public. We watched this in public. The participants were there. We are calling for an audit for whatever happened there.
And you as a member of the public, what did you observe?
We are saying we are not the one to audit. Government should do the auditing.
Okay, from your heart of hearts, as Todro, do you believe NUP was responsible for the violence that characterized this election?
You can't rule that out. because prior to this election, they were now behaving like a paramilitary organization. This friend of mine was inspecting parades of NUP and they were dressed in everything. So you never know, anything could have happened. And we are not saying, I'm only feeling that, you know, Louis, you see, running a political organization like ours and yours, we need to be fair to our members and help them to participate in whatever they want to participate with decency. If my members and your members start fighting every day, we're going to mess up this country.
You are messing it up already.
Do you find room where you fault members of NRM?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Yeah, we have called ours to book. We have audited ours already internally. Those who are involved, we were in which constituency? We were in one of the constituencies in Ilango, Uyam. One of my members was accused, wrongfully though. I had to dismiss him from the office immediately. My staff was accused. Even before I got to the bottom of the matter, I dismissed the boy from the office.
So that was illegal if you say that you dismissed him wrongfully?
No, right? I did, because I do not want the party to be accused.
Anyway, for me, I think
which we don't stand for.
When you read deeply the president's statement, he seems to insinuate that NUP was intimidating NRM supporters, and you were, in a way, instigating all the violence until Jat came in.
You see, that's what I've told you. First of all, you remember when Jat attacked us at our party headquarters. You know, you the media covered that on the day when our candidate had the very, very first rally. What kind of violence had we engaged in? We were only going to our rally venue. Then Jat came, broke people's legs, beat up everybody. So how can he have the audacity to say that? We believe that very many of our voters did not come out because of the terror reigned by them when they deployed these Mambas. You saw it was as if we were in Somalia. It was as if it was a war zone, just a by-election. And they deployed, I don't know how many Mambas. Then they deployed, you know what they did to our supervisors? Honorable Chiaga, you saw what they did to Mayor Mutebi. Cut him, beat him with solid doors. We don't see that happen to the NRM supporters when he says that, you know, we are not the ones who deployed those people. The house which we went to with the LOP in Namere, where we found them removing number plates and where it was reported that they were pre-ticking ballot papers. That place was filled with RDCs, and you saw people putting on yellow T-shirts inside there. So how can he come up to say we don't know about that?
But how do you go to a private property, you find an RDC's car parked there, there is a person wearing a yellow shirt, and then you're saying,
first of all,
that was also wrong.
Can that be part of the investigation?
No, but see, I just laugh when I watch it. You cannot come to my property, my gate, and you claim
an investigation.
Really, no. Of course, they will also investigate. If they're claiming there was ballot stuffing in that particular home, they will investigate.
Yeah, because I
saw the clip, I saw the video. And the officials there were saying we are not doing anything.
Are people allowed to remove?
So did you find anything? You were there with the leader
but you blocked us from accessing.
Did you find anything?
They blocked us from proceeding to check what was going on.
But how did you have a search warrant?
Let me tell you, this was not a private home like you're trying to project it.
Even if it's an office.
This was not a private.
Even if it's an office, even if it's something in a wall fence with a gate, and then you go and
yesterday I was seeing General Museveni's video of the 90s when he was still, maybe thought about this country. And he was saying the law can be an instrument for justice, but the law can also be an instrument for oppression. He's just quoting the law. He's not talking about justice. So every by-election, we've already seen ballot papers, pre-ticked ballot papers, flying around, not in favor of NUP, in favor of NRM. And now he's saying that when we get information that there's ballot stuffing at a certain place,
if you claim NRM is wrong, then do things better than NRM. If you are going to that particular premise to search whether they are doing ballot stuffing or whatever you claim they were doing in there, it's very simple. Go and report the case, go with a search warrant, and let someone give you space to search whatever you want to search.
That's what I'm telling you.
Honorable, I feel the rage.
You cannot come. I cannot come to your gate, and because
are you aware?
Louis is thinking this, then I come and start searching.
Honorable,
even me,
Honorable Todong, I feel the rage and the concern that you have after losing this constituency. The president says NRM is very popular in Kawempe. What gives you that conviction?
You see, we know we are popular, not only in Kawempe, but even in Kampala, the whole of Buganda. They claim they are defeating us in Buganda, they are popular in Kampala. That is wrong. And that is why we are saying, let us investigate this matter.
The
and
president
the
says
where the truth
NRM is very popular in Kawempe because of the anti-poverty programs. How do you measure your popularity when traditionally you've been losing this constituency?
You see, there are two things. Losing an urban constituency is not to say those who did not vote for you as a party disagrees with you ideologically. That is not the case. There are other social issues that makes people not vote for me as a party that is running a government. There are other conditions. For example, if you, my brother here might be knowing, Kampala during the day accommodates close to more than 3 million people. At night, these people move to Wakiso and the suburbs of Kampala. Now, the population density in the center is much heavier than in any other parts of this country. And it comes with a lot of pressure on the service delivery and a few of the issues that we have in Kampala. And that's why settlement is in slums. There is too much demand for jobs. Urban poverty is increasing. These social problems, even if tomorrow they come to government, God forbid, they will not resolve it. The same population will put demands on them. The same way they're putting demand on NRM.
Did you ever imagine that you would win Kawempe?
Definitely. Definitely. We are still going to win Kawempe.
How?
How? The way we have been winning elections in other polling other constituencies.
When you win in other constituencies, it's okay. There is no call for an audit. Most of the by-elections, when
there is a reason
in
why
places where there is by-elections marred by violence,
there is a reason why we are calling for an audit in this particular
specifically.
Election. We know there is a reason.
What is the reason?
Because my brother here knows what they were doing in that place.
And what were we doing?
And that is why they are scared of an audit.
Hold it.
But as we say, we are not scared.
I get a sense that you're feeding the president on misinformation.
Not really. The president doesn't get information from only one source. He is privy to have quite a number of information that he gets from different people.
What do you know that we don't know?
The president will get information from ordinary people.
What do you know that we don't know about the mischief?
The investigation will come out with what you don't know and what I also don't know.
Okay. What is at stake now is the reputation of the Electoral Commission. You seem to be giving them a vote of no confidence.
No, there are things that happen that were even out of control of Electoral Commission. I don't think Electoral Commission supervised the beating of journalists or the beating of voters. That was not their work. It was not part of what they do. So we are saying the mess that happened in Kawempe North should not happen in any other constituency in this country. That is the purpose of this, what we are calling investigation.
What about,
so that we put ourselves to order as political parties and political
What
players.
about the notion, the opinion that you're calling for this investigation as a face-saving measure? You're feeling too embarrassed to have lost despite the huge investment.
Then you don't know NRM. If that is what you think, you don't know NRM. You don't know NRM. It's not a do or die for NRM to win that constituency. It's not a do or die. But we're saying, going forward, elections must be free and fair to everybody.
No, but look.
Why should people? He's saying their supporters were scared not to come out to vote because of the members being deployed around. Why would their supporters be scared, intimidated? That is what we are speaking even for them.
Louis, we've seen scenarios. Take, for instance, Nansana, the scenario in Nansana where Wakaima lost, and they had to install Honorable Robert as the MP. Robert Sebunya Chibirigi. Robert Sebunya as the MP. In Entebbe, there was a similar scenario where Depo had won, but later court played it its way and they got Fabrice in the seat. In Chadondo East, the by-election that brought Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, there was a contestation over just one DR form. What are the chances that you could survive, just in case this matter went to court?
Well, we have challenged them to go to court because we know the truth. We have the truth on our side. We have our DR forms. You know, the chaos which they engaged in. You know, the reason...
You can't have DR forms for centers that were cancelled.
And you're asking them. Of course, those ones we do not have. But what I'm saying is that the Electoral Commission had enough results to declare a candidate. That's why I've told you that in the presidential election, when they realized that they were not going to be able to, even after all the rigging, they couldn't do the 50%, they cancelled over 400 polling stations. So the law allows,
NRM says 50.
the law allows the Electoral Commission, when it has a certain number of DRR forms, to declare a candidate. What was unfortunate was that our councillor, who had run resoundingly, couldn't be declared because there were no DRR forms from Kazangola, where all her polling stations were, and those goons, like I said, commanded by the military and all that, protected by the police and all that, are the ones who caused that kind of chaos.
The reason, now, hold on. The reason we want that clarified is he keeps insinuating that those who kick the ballot boxes are NRM goons.
Yes, those are NRM goons. As a matter of fact, let me tell you where they came from. But that is what you're saying,
but we're also saying they are your goons.
Actually, let me tell you something.
We are saying they are their people.
So
these were people
who caused chaos.
Does
Noop own JAT?
No, the kicking of the ballot boxes were before JAT came.
And what?
It was by the ordinary
people. But I've told you that
who we now say is they are our supporters.
But one,
and we're saying they are their supporters.
You see, unless if you do not follow social media, if you do not, you see the results that were being read were in favor of NUP. Why would NUP kick its own ballot boxes? Why would NUP want to disorganize an election that it was winning? Number two, there was a military protecting these goons. In fact, at Mbogo, the military participated in the kicking of these boxes. There are videos showing all that was happening.
Now, if now you're saying the military participated in kicking the boxes,
I've said that,
and then you're saying those are NRM goons, and the military is NRM goons.
But who deploys them?
That is the evidence you will provide.
That's what we are saying.
That is the evidence you will provide, that here it was kicked by the military.
You see, that intellectual dishonesty.
We also want to be clear.
We need to help Ugandans.
We want, as a party, to be cleared so that you don't think those who kick the ballot boxes are NRM supporters.
Okay. So what will happen? What will happen at the end of the day? Do you pray for a by-election?
The truth will set us free. If our legal team finds evidence which are tangible enough to go to court, we shall go to court. But the party says we have to go to court.
But
we are now collecting evidence.
You have court on the cards. You have an investigation on the cards.
Yes.
Go to court.
What qualifies to be taken to court will be taken to court.
Yeah, and
but
what qualifies to be treated in other ways will be treated other ways.
Conceding defeat is very hard for you, isn't it?
We have conceded defeat many times. We were defeated in Oyam. We were defeated in Idokolo by UPC. So we conceded. We moved on.
And you came out and congratulated them because they are your allies. That's what General Seven said. But
so why can't we congratulate?
Because NUP.
How many times have we congratulated you?
Okay.
When have you ever?
Louis.
You
have to earn my congratulations.
That's what I'm telling you. Let me tell you.
Earn it, and I'm saying
these people. They are simply faced with an existential threat. That's why they are doing what they are doing. They know that NUP is out there to remove them from power. That is why they don't want to concede.
We'll take a break.